Hello, Tom Lavecchia here with the latest edition of the New Theory Podcast. Before we get to our esteemed guests, I have my co-host, John Pennisi. John, welcome back to the New Theory Podcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to watch this young man.
So am I. We have a very special and talented guest today, Peter Candia, hails from New Jersey. And Peter, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be making today.
I'm born and raised in New Jersey. I'm New Jersey's biggest fan. Is what I like to say usually. I love everything about New Jersey.
Love it.
I went to culinary school, the Culinary Institute of America, after graduating high school.
Wow.
But I didn't go to be a chef or to own a restaurant. I actually went to get into to go into food journalism and media and more of that route.
Nice.
So that's what I'm working on doing now. I just turned 23 on Saturday. So
God bless. Congratulations. Happy birthday.
We'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna today. Tom said make a dish for me, and I'm gonna make my favorite dish of all time. It's called sugo de matriciana or sugo alla matriciana, usually with bucatini, which is a long tubular type of pasta. But I'm gonna make it with spaghetti today.
Love it. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so I'll start going through the ingredients. It's a pretty simple dish. So a matriciana comes from Lazio, the Lazio region where Rome is in Italy.
Yes.
Which is my favorite region of Italy for food specifically. I've never been, so I can't say for the sites or anything, but as far as food goes, this is by far my favorite. I spent a little less than a year working in a restaurant in Manhattan called Lupa Osteria Romana. So that's kind of where I got my feet wet, and that's kind of where I fell in love with Italian food.
Love it.
Growing up, I knew New Jersey Italian food, Italian American food. And of course I love it, but I was so bored of it. I never wanted to cook Italian food again. I never wanted to eat Italian food again. And working at Lupa opened my eyes that Italy's not that big of a country geographically, but as far as food goes and even culture, it is so regionally diverse, no matter where you go. And you see that a lot in food.
Love it.
Bucatini alla matriciana. So it's a pasta dish consisting of guanciale. So this is guanciale. This is the cured jowl of the pork.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like a bacon or a pancetta, but it's made with the cheek of the
wow. John, you even hear that?
Oh.
So one of my favorite ingredients to cook with in the world. It cooks a lot like bacon or pancetta, but it's got an even higher fat content. Nice. So in the south of Italy, they're all about olive oil, and in the north of Italy, they're all about using butter because it's closer to France. But the legend has it in the mountain areas of Lazio, they couldn't lug the barrels of olive oil up to the mountain.
Yeah.
So they said we have a lot of pigs, so let's just use this as the cooking fat instead.
Oh, wow.
You can get so much fat out of these that you can literally substitute it for oil.
So what do? You throw that in the pan. What's the first step?
So the first step is you're going to cut it. I'll show you how to cut just like one or two slices. I already did it before, but I like to do like semi-thick slices, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
So just like that size.
Oh, wow.
And then what you do is you put it in a cold pan. So whenever you're rendering anything, it's always good to start in a cold pan. That way that the outside doesn't burn before the inside is cooked. And that's how you get like a really crisp melt in your mouth. Bacon, pancetta, guanciale in this case. So I had already went ahead and done that because it does take like 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
sure,
I put it in a cold pan. I'm going to show you that in a second after I keep going through the ingredients. But that's the first step, is to start rendering it out. And then, so people will argue, a lot of like purists say no onions in a matriciana. I say onions in a matriciana. That's how I learned. It's kind of whoever you ask. I think it adds another layer to the dish. And I like using red onion because, again, that's what I learned. But also it adds like a nice sweetness. So I try to cut them to be around the same size as the guanciale.
Oh, wow.
It's not awkward in your mouth because you're getting the same size things, but it's like a little surprise.
Nice.
Then this is entirely not traditional tomato paste. This is a little French method, but the thing about adding tomato paste to anything is it adds a super complex depth of flavor. So the word that people throw around a lot now is umami. And so umami is like it's like the other taste element, not bitter, sour, sweet, but it means in Japanese, it means essence of deliciousness, I think. But tomato paste is concentrated tomato, and tomatoes are loaded with that flavor. So the way you make tomato paste is you cook down tomatoes and you cook all the water out of it, and it concentrates the flavor. But I learned to add it before you add the whole San Marzano tomatoes. I think that a lot of people from Lazio would scream at me if they saw me doing it. As far as I know, they don't use it at all there, but I'm sure there is people. It tastes good, so I don't care if it's not entirely traditional.
Love it.
Honest. San Marzano tomatoes. I get.
Did you are they squashed already, or they're just sitting there?
Yeah, so they come whole, and then I
go.
put them in a bowl, and with clean hands, I just squash them with my hands.
Old school. I like that.
Yeah. So then, so here's another thing I kind of messed up when buying this pecorino Romano cheese. Pecora means sheep in Italian, so it's milk cheese. I messed up and bought Grana Padano because I didn't look at the label.
You didn't grate it?
No, I did grate it.
Oh, I was gonna say, I thought you bought it out of the bag. I was gonna hang up on you. I got nervous.
It's one of these. I'm gonna finish with it too. This is, but I messed up. This is Grana Padano instead of Pecorino.
I got it.
Definitely a different flavor profile, but it's still salty. It's still savory. But I could.
Well, Peter, what we're gonna do is obviously you're demonstrating it. We'll ask you for maybe the ingredients and stuff in writing too. But since as a journalist, you could probably do a better job than me transcribing. So we'll put a nice link below and right. People can see.
Absolutely. In Italy, they use black pepper or sometimes chili flakes. I'm gonna use chili flakes because I like it better.
Yeah.
And then last, dried, not fresh spaghetti.
Wow.
In Rome, they do not use, or in Lazio, they do not use fresh pasta at all, really.
Well, John probably knows this too. The reason why is because in Italy, in the South, obviously, it's fresher pasta because they have more time. It's more agrarian. But like Lazio on up is very busy. So they use like kind of readily pre-made pasta. Number two, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And the old school way was if you had you had the money or didn't the resource or the time, you had the pre-made because you were poor and it was faster,
Mm-hmm. And it goes even further than that is that so in the northwest of Italy, they do like egg fresh pasta. So like
yes,
not egg noodles, but that's just because it's the style and it has a lot to do with that they border France. The sauces are different. But in Lazio, so like you said, they were always it was peasants. They had to make out of anything. So dried pasta cheaper. Yep. Also, dried pasta doesn't have egg in it. It's just semolina flour and water.
Yeah.
And it holds up a lot better with really oily sauces, which is what they like to eat in Lazio.
And like the northern, like the polenta.
Yeah,
and
polenta,
sauces.
Sauce bolognese.
Yeah.
Which is a fatty sauce, but it's a different kind. This is like oily.
Nice.
And it's the best pasta ever.
All right. So when you say cold pan, you got to forgive me. I'm a novice. I know food, but a cold pan means don't heat it up at all. Correct?
No, you put if you're cooking bacon, if you're cooking pancetta, guanciale, anything, lay it in the pan flat and then turn it on.
A little olive oil or butter or no?
So I actually didn't add any extra oil. Definitely not butter in this dish.
Okay.
Butter will burn too. You can add olive oil if you want to help get it started. This guanciale was, I would say this hunk of guanciale is like 80% fat.
Wow.
So I didn't need to add any oil.
Where do you get it? Where do you buy something?
Yeah, so any specialty Italian market or butcher, I got this at I don't know if you guys are in North Jersey, but I got this at Corrado's Market.
I was gonna say Corrado's, yeah.
Wow.
That's where I get a lot of my specialty Italian ingredients. It's a pretty good store. But in the past, when I was still at CIA, I used to order it online and it would come frozen.
Oh wow!
I would go pick it up from my little PO box at school and I would cook it in the dorm kitchen.
That's cool.
Yeah, you can order online. And listen, if you can't find guanciale, use pancetta. if you can't find pancetta, use bacon. I've made this with Oscar Mayer bacon more times than I've made it with,
Hey.
and that's just because I always have it, you know.
Love it.
It's not entirely traditional. The smoky flavor isn't traditional because this isn't smoked and bacon is, but it's still good. It tastes good, and that's really all that matters. Especially if you're practicing the method of it, then there's nothing wrong with using that. Like I said, don't show the people in Rome though.
I love it. All right, so what's next?
Well, just really quick, I want to go into
Yeah.
reason why I'm using spaghetti and not bucatini.
Okay.
That when a lot of people think of this dish, they think of bucatini alla matriciana because that's like the name. That's how we served it at Lupa. That's how a lot of restaurants do it. But this dish comes from Amatrice, hence the name, which is a town in Lazio, a smaller town. It was the town, I think back in 2010, hit by a really bad earthquake. And when you drive into Amatrice, the sign says, I don't know what it is in Italian, but it says City of Spaghetti alla Matriciana.
Oh,
So
wow.
as far as I'm concerned, this dish should be made with spaghetti rather than bucatini.
Now, really quick though, the reason maybe they do the bucatini, maybe they want the fat to kind of be
So that is the reason. The fatter
Okay.
noodle holds up better to it. Which it's fine. I eat it with bucatini all the time because people love bucatini. Whenever I make this for my friends, whenever I make it for my brother or my father, they love bucatini. For me, not only do I prefer spaghetti because of that little fact with the sign, I'm kind of paying homage to the town, but also this dish is so rich that a little bit of a thinner noodle is nice with it. It doesn't get as overwhelming, but don't use like an angel hair.
Yeah, because angel hair would be almost too thin and floppy, kind of, right?
Yeah, this is as thin as of a pasta. A lot of people are gonna if people watch this that know this dish, they're gonna say this kid's crazy. I don't think I am. So,
little does he know, John.
all right, so.
Oh God.
All right, so in this pan, I have the already rendered guanciale. It looks a little dark. It is a little dark, but that's okay. That's kind of how I like it. Also, the lighting is making it look a little darker than it really is, but you can see how much fat comes out of there.
Damn.
So I didn't add any oil. And what I like to do is I like to add a little bit more than I need, and then I take some out and I throw it in at the end because this stuff is super crunchy right now, but it's almost gonna braise in the tomato sauce.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of like to add a couple pieces at the end for just a contrast of texture.
Got it.
That's not really traditional or anything, but
just your move.
Me being
so that entirety of the liquid is the fat, correct?
Yeah, that's entirely pork fat. There's no olive oil, no butter, no canola oil, nothing, just pork fat.
Got it. And then so you're gonna throw the pasta in. Hey, John, have you ever, and I saw this recently, people hold on to the pasta water and then put a little back in when they drain it.
Watching it.
I'm going to show you that.
You see that, John?
Yeah.
I never see that.
So I'm actually happy you mentioned that. A lot of people, when they boil pasta, they like to get a huge pot of water, which is fine. I like to do less water because all the starch from the pasta, especially if you're using a higher quality pasta, I didn't mention this before, I like to use de cecco. It's my favorite go-to brand. If you're using a high quality pasta, it's going to leach starch into the water, and the less water you have, the more starchy it's going to be. And what that does is it helps emulsify and bind the sauce together.
Oh, wow.
A matriciana can hold up because it's got the tomato in it, but if you're familiar with like carbonara or cacio e pepe, those dishes need pasta water or else they don't work. A lot of people try to cook a carbonara or a cacio e pepe at home, and they ask me why it broke, why the sauce broke, or why the consistency's off, and it's always because they didn't use pasta
That's
water.
why. I tried making it a few times, and I did not do that. Well.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start turning this on to get it back up to heat. And then I'll start cooking the sauce from there.
Love it.
So I'm going to add some of the red onion. Some people, when I learned to make this, they actually added the red onion and the guanciale at the same time, so they cooked together.
No, but the onion will cook so much quicker. No,
That's exactly what I think. So that's why I don't do it that way.
love it.
I like it to have a little bit of a bite to it. And then once that gets up to heat and once the onion starts to wilt a little bit, I'm going to add the tomato paste. Like I said, that's, as far as I know, is not traditional.
Yeah, I never saw a tube in my house.
Yeah, in French cooking, they use a lot of tomato paste.
Okay.
They call it, when you add it to fat, if they're making like a veal stock or something, they call it a pinçage. Kind of just a technique, a French technique, but it works. I use it for a lot of things I cook.
Hey, Peter, why San Marzano versus regular tomatoes? Just more to curiosity.
Yeah. So San Marzanos come from the south of Italy.
Yeah.
They're a DOP. So a DOP is it's in Italy, but it basically means like they're protected. So
Oh, kind of like the wine, like DOC and DOCG.
exactly
Oh, wow,
like DOCG.
See?
So they're a DOP, and here's my thing: is that San Marzanos are great. They're available year round, but if you're in New Jersey in the summer and you're cooking without New Jersey tomatoes, I think that's insane, because New Jersey has some of the best tomatoes in the world.
Wow, in the world, that's a bold statement.
So another thing. Another thing about this dish is that every Roman pasta dish kind of builds off of its predecessor. So first you have cacio e pepe, which is literally just black pepper, pecorino romano cheese, and olive oil.
Yeah.
If you add guanciale to that, but nothing else, it's called alla gricia. If you add egg to that, it's called carbonara. If you don't add egg and you instead add tomato, it's called amatriciana. And if you add tomato and egg, it's called zozzona or something like that.
Wow.
But the thing about alla gricia and cacio e pepe and carbonara is they predate amatriciana, because tomatoes weren't brought to Italy until the late 18th century, when the New World was.
Really?
Tomato. A lot of people, when you say Italian food, the first thing you think of is what? Tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Tomatoes aren't native to Italy. They weren't brought over into the late 18th century. So a dish like this wasn't conjured up until sometime after that.
Wow.
So that's always, when I learned that tomatoes weren't native to Italy, it kind of like blew my mind. But it makes sense.
So that makes sense for a lot of truly Roman cooking is absent of tomatoes, as far as
absolutely.
Right, John? I mean, if you think about it.
A lot of Roman cooking, no tomato. Even like a really classic sauce bolognese doesn't have much tomato in it. It's almost brown in color.
Yeah.
Some people make it with zero tomato at all. I like a little bit in there, but it's more almost like a brown gravy the way they do it. And that's just because tomatoes were a new addition to it. They weren't an original addition to it.
So you got the pig's cheek in there.
Yeah.
With the
red onion.
The cut red onion. And again, why red onion versus regular onion if you're gonna go that route?
I like the flavor of it better for this dish specifically.
Okay.
Also it looks a little nicer.
And you like a lot of chefs and even myself, I just throw shit in to make it look cool or feel cool. You're keeping it simple. You're not throwing any salt, pepper. You're not throwing in any.
Well, so what I'm gonna, and that's actually good because I wanted to show you this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna add any salt in here until the end when I taste it, and I'm probably not gonna have to add any salt to here because it's so salty. But whenever you're cooking in pasta water,
gotta put salt in, of course.
That much salt, a lot of salt.
Yeah.
People say as salty as the ocean, or they say as the salinity of blood. So kind of morbid one bit. But that's always a cool little fact. But yeah, that's another thing is you want your pasta to taste like something.
Yeah.
If you eat your pasta on its own with nothing on it, you want it to have a little bit of flavor. So that's why you got to salt your water.
Oh, wow.
But then the trick to that, and I'm very guilty of this when I was learning to cook pasta more, is that I have a chef hand or a culinary school hand when it comes to salting things. And pasta is kind of, you have to learn how to do it because since the water's so salty and the pecorino so salty, if I season this as I normally would a sauce, the final product is going to be way too salty.
Oh, wow.
And I just learned that by doing it wrong a couple times. To be
Trying to
honest.
look at that fat. Wow.
So try not to start on fire, but yeah. So now I'm gonna do the pinçage as I described it before. So tomato paste, and what you want to do here, and it is going to splatter, is you want to stir it in and emulsify it with the oil. And now I'm gonna add chili flake too at this stage. So I like it a little spicy. I'm gonna add a little extra.
Yeah.
Like I said, they do black pepper sometimes too. I think the black pepper is more traditional, but I like it with chili flakes.
A little spice to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So once this gets mixed in, it's gonna make like a really dark, like almost like a maroon or like a mahogany, if you will, color.
Yeah.
The entire pan is gonna be like this red pool of lava.
Don't laugh at me, Peter, but I've seen people dishes like this and throw a little flour in. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah, so that would make a roux.
Okay.
For pasta, you don't need to do that really because the starch in the pasta.
Got it.
But that's for making like a gravy, like a pan gravy.
Yeah.
Now, if I added flour to this right now, and then I added chicken stock, it would make like a pork fat onion gravy.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
So that's just a roux. That's just, yeah, that's not a dumb question at all because a lot of people don't understand that. So then San Marzano tomatoes. I'm just eyeballing everything.
Yeah. Wow. So you really squashed them out. You literally made it liquid.
I completely crush them. Some people, if you're doing a lot, a food mill is good. It's like this metal device, and you put them all, and you crank it, and it will.
Hey Peter, I don't know if you can answer this. This might be up your alley, but so my family and I believe John's family are from the other side, and around like Napoli area, that kind of area,
My
right?
family's from Naples too.
Yeah, and then I've dated. Well, my ex-wife was Calabrian, and I dated a Sicilian girl for a number of years too, right? And when we made the sauce in the summer, I can only speak to maybe my family, but we would make sauce and we would draw the tomatoes that are cooked for pizza and fresh dishes, right?
Yeah.
The Calabrian would just a little bit of sauce and jar, and the Sicilian would make no sauce at all. They would just jar the tomatoes that are cooked and make fresh sauce as they went along. Is that am I right on that experience?
It's just regional. I know in Sicily they do a lot of seafood, obviously, even in Calabria too. But so I think they do keep the tomato a little fresher. They don't really cook it down. It's more of a fresh tomato sauce. I know a little bit about Sicilian cuisine. I don't know that much.
What do you do for regular red sauce? Do you make your own as you go? Do you
are we talking about like New Jersey red sauce? Or are we talking about New Jersey? If I'm making like a New Jersey red sauce, I sear sausage, braciole.
Oh wow.
I deep fry meatballs in oil because it makes them super crunchy.
In olive oil?
No, in canola oil actually.
Yikes! And you're thin. I can't do that. I'm fat. I can't do that kind of stuff.
And yeah, it gives them a really good texture. And then I finish them in the sauce.
Got it.
That's a restaurant trick. It's a lot easier in a restaurant because you can just drop them all in the deep fryer. But
good point. Probably tastes better too a little bit.
That's my favorite way to cook a meatball.
John, John, you do your meatballs. Do you use what do you pan fry them or you bake them, John?
I pan fry them. I know bacon's better. Healthy for you.
Yeah, I pan fried two sometimes, and then this Sunday, me and my mom were making it, and I didn't feel like getting the stove all dirty, so we just baked them. That's the cleanest way to do it. Is just baking them.
Yeah, I do them in the pan too, John. With a little olive oil, or I'll sear them and then bake them. So I'm trying to lose weight. it's hard being Italian and eat.
If you do it get the oil hot and fry them and get a good crust on them. Yeah. I don't cook them all the way through.
No, me neither. I leave.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Unless I'm trying to unless I'm eating some without sauce, which I do that, I'll cook those ones extra. But I basically leave them.
Oh, so then if it's a Sunday or if you have a little bit of time, you could always have it cook in the sauce if you did.
That's what I do.
Point. Okay.
That's the way I do.
Those come out nice. Those come out.
I also my little trick is anytime I have a bone-in pork chop or a bone-in ribeye, I freeze all those bones, and I always throw a bone in the sauce.
To get the
marrow, and it just leaches out. And usually if I have it, this one doesn't have it, but if I have a hunk of cheese in the fridge that has the rind on the end, we used to call those cheese bones. I cut that off and let it simmer in the sauce. It gets all of the excess cheese off of it. And
it's like that cap, that hard part, right?
Yeah, it's the hard part. It's not inedible, but you can't really chew it.
Yeah.
So I throw it in sauce because I don't like to throw anything out. I freeze a lot of stuff. I freeze bones all the time, for that reason.
Love it.
But if I'm making just a normal, like if I wanted to eat dinner tonight and make a tomato sauce, a lot of olive oil. This is a pomodoro, another Roman pasta, but a lot of olive oil, garlic until it's like golden brown, like slowly bring it up, kind of like I did with the guanciale, and then it splatters all over. You just pour the tomato into the oil, and you have to like vigorously emulsify it, and a little bit of chili flake, and that's a sauce pomodoro, spaghetti pomodoro, what have you. And that's just like a super simple garlicky tomato sauce. I make that like 3 times a week for dinner.
Do you use we call it basilico, but do you use basil?
So I'm not using basil in this. I'm just using parsley to finish. But if I'm making a pomodoro or I'm making a Sunday gravy or a Italian American sauce, I do use basil.
Yep.
And sometimes I'll just simmer it with the stems in there. Sometimes I'll finish it at the end. It really depends what I'm going for. I could put basil in here, but honestly, this is such a rich dish. The basil would just get lost. Plus basil is more, they use a lot more in Naples than they do in Lazio, as far as I know anyway. But yeah, so this, now it's just kind of simmering away. And it's gonna get kind of thick because the water's cooking out of it. And that's okay because, like you said before, I'm gonna add the pasta water back to it. And that's
you go ahead, Peter. So I got a question when you're done. Sorry.
It's just a playing with consistency thing. It's kind of learning how to do it.
So really quick, when the little I cook and I'm trying is I'll have like some oil or like some fat, then I add some like tomatoes and I'll spin them around. I'll try to move them, mix them, and they don't jive. Like the oil will kind of live in the sauce. How do I get rid of that?
So you're saying the oil's separated from the...
Yeah.
Best way to do it is one hand shake the pan and the other hand
mix.
Kind of mix like that. You just kind of vigorously do it, but also when you add the pasta water, that's going to bring them together. So next time you cook pasta, add pasta water, you'll be amazed at how much easier it is. Because it really emulsifies it because there's so much starch in this water. It's kind of like what you said before with adding the flour, but it's a little different, but it really will bring, if your sauce is separated oil to tomato or whatever you're making, adding a little bit of pasta water will thin it out, but it will also have them marry together. So it's called an emulsion or emulsification or whatever. And when it's not emulsified, that's a broken sauce, and that's no good. You don't want that. So
getting hungry, John.
Yeah, this is like, at this point, the tomato is still a little raw, but it's good. I just gave it a little bit of a taste. I want it to be a little spicier.
Sometimes when you have the tomatoes like that though, right? And you don't add, I know you're adding fat and stuff and some stuff to it. Can it be a bit acidic?
Yeah. Tomato is super acidic. I mean, canned tomatoes are not very good without stuff added to it, unless you're using San Marzanos.
Oh, okay.
Or if you're if you're jarring your own tomatoes, like I said, New Jersey tomatoes before, like if you want to jar them in the summer for the winter, San Marzano tomato is so good. Like I can eat it raw and it tastes good. It tastes like tomato. Yeah. But if you're just getting the can of Tudoroso or whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't taste as good as these tomatoes.
So Peter, how are you so thin?
Metabolism, I guess.
Just gotta sign me up for that. Jeez.
Yeah. A lot of white. I mean, I used to work a lot too, so.
I hear that.
But yeah, that's kind of that's always like the joke, you know. But yeah. So now there's a little bit of downtime. The pasta's got about 5 minutes. You want to like keep it want to keep it stirring the whole time.
All right. Well, what about since we have a little downtime in the cooking?
Yeah.
So, let's say having you and John over for dinner, we're gonna have like a nice dinner. My fiance, she's not Italian. She does prefer, although there's some meat in there, she does prefer meat with her pasta. Or, what kind of let's start off with this. What kind of apps would you serve to start off something? Let's say you're entertaining, having some friends over. What kind of apps would you like knowing you're gonna make this? What are some of the apps you would serve ahead of this?
If I'm going all out and I'm like trying to impress people, I'm going to do 3 courses. First of all,
Okay.
That's kind of how they eat in Italy. So it's antipasto, primi, which is your pasta or risotto course, and then secondi, which is your meat entrees. So I would maybe start with like a mistacanza, which is just like a mixed green salad, but also like people like hot things. So like arancini, like calamari fritti, or let me think. Oh, in Rome, they eat artichokes all the time.
Yeah, they do actually. I've seen,
Carciofi. So artichokes are one of the most underrated foods in the world, in my opinion. I never ate artichokes until I worked at Lupa, and we had them on the menu in a couple different ways. So I used to have to cook them in wine. I kind of forget, but in wine, water, lemon, and a bunch of mint. Mint and artichoke is like a match made in heaven, literally. And that just gives you like tender cooked artichokes. And those you would eat cold. So we used to do that. I used to then dress it with more lemon juice, olive oil, mint. You could put pine nuts in there if you wanted to. You can put pomegranate seeds in there if you wanted to. Really, whatever you have. I always like using what's in season. If I were making it right now, I don't even know what I would do if I'm making it right now. But you could deep fry them.
Got it. Now I have a question though. So, and I think it's an Italian thing and an Italian American thing. We eat the salad after.
Yeah, so it helps you digest, right?
And clear your palate, right?
Yeah, I've never done that in my life, so I can't.
You eat salad before?
Yeah, I know that's a thing, and I've never tested it out. So
how about you, John? Salad before or after the main?
After,
yeah.
So it makes sense. It makes logical sense.
I remember, I was a kid. I was at home, and then I went over like a friend's house. I don't know, 10 years old or whatever. And the first thing they served was a salad, and I thought like,
and it's over.
Yeah, like, are we gonna eat? Like, what happened?
Funny.
And then they explain.
I'm Italian, but my family is so detached from Italy.
Got it.
My great grandparents.
No, but John and I have he was on his show many times. We have another show, and him and I always talk about like young people. We're really impressed that like, you would be Americanized at this point, and you should almost be making something else, or not even doing this kind of stuff. But the fact that you kind of respect tradition, put your own spin on it, learn how to cook, get educated. That's John. That's a message that John always says. I
respect tradition and I scoff at tradition at the same time. So I like to know how to make this exactly how they make it in Italy, but at the same time, I like to use my further knowledge to make something different if I know how to. I was talking to my friends about this last night. One of my friends is his family's from Sicily.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I've ever seen corn in pasta. So corn is another ingredient that's not native to Italy, but unlike tomato, they don't even grow corn in Italy. So corn is also from America.
All right. I've never heard of corn and pasta, but for whatever reason, my ex-wife's Calabrian family ate corn at every meal.
So my thing is
not with that, just a boil and no butter on it, no nothing. Every meal, corn, every meal.
I've actually never heard of that, but
a lot of meals. Yeah.
I'm just like tomatoes. If it's summertime in New Jersey, corn in New Jersey is absolutely amazing in the summer. So if I'm cooking in the summer, I'm going to put corn in my pasta, not tomato sauce. I'm going to make something different. I'm going to make something that complements it.
All right.
But, I'm going to use corn because it's in season. It's delicious. It's good. One of my favorite things to do is a summer pasta. I'll do corn. I'll do zucchini. I'll do thinly sliced jalapenos, and then I'll finish it with crab meat.
All right, really quick. So you got to, in 45 years, I never got this answer. I never really asked it, but thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
So my mother would drain the pasta, put
Uh-huh.
it back in the pan, put a little bit of sauce in, mix it around, put it on the plate, and then put the sauce on it.
Yeah.
Until I worked like 17 years old in a restaurant, and then you see like chefs on TV. Not once did my mother ever put pasta into a pan sauce to cook like that. I only see that in restaurants. I'd never seen it at home.
It's just easier in restaurants is really what it is. And
To
it works.
speed it up, or
It's just everything's right there. It's one less thing to clean. Sometimes it doesn't work great. Like I overshot. I made a little too much sauce for the amount of pasta, but I'll make it work. That's just.
But John, right? Like at home, does your mother do that?
No, and I think you got to be careful because the majority of people love al dente.
Yeah.
Now, you have to really undercook your pasta to
I
throw it in.
undercook my pastas by 2 minutes.
Yes.
Not 1, 2 minutes.
Yep.
If I'm doing a cavatelli with like a ragu,
Yeah.
I undercook it criminally and I finish it like in the sauce. This I do a little less of an undercook, but an undercook nonetheless. So
Interesting.
now this is starting to bind. I added some of the water already. The consistency is good. Turn the heat off and add all the cheese.
Oh, wow.
You want to turn the heat off because if you do it when the heat's on, the cheese will kind of stick to the bottom. It's not the end of the world, but it is a thing.
Not that I'm complaining. That's a lot of cheese.
Oh yeah, a lot of cheese. And then I'm gonna add the guanciale that I saved from before.
Oh, wow. Oh, because they're already crusty.
Yeah, it's already crispy. It's good. So this isn't clean. My mom's gonna.
How do you not spill? Like I tried that at home, and the next thing you know, 2 hours of cleaning ahead of me. Like how do you?
Confident. It doesn't take any skill. It's just confidence. It's really what it is. I mean, my mom's gonna scream at me later because there's sauce all over the back of the stove now, but that's okay.
That's right. Tell you're gonna be a coronary superstar after this.
Like you were saying before, though, is my mom never put pasta into the pan.
Correct.
She strained it and put it back in the pot. But this is how I learned to do it.
Yeah. Hey.
This is how they do it in most restaurants. So this got a little thick, so I added more water. But the heat's been off for most of it, except for I just turned it back on.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about the pasta being overcooked. And I did undercook it by a lot. The box said 12 minutes. I did like 9.5.
Got it.
So this is mostly done. Turn the heat off. This is just for color. It's just chopped parsley.
Oh, wow.
Made like 2 servings, maybe 1.5 servings. Generally speaking, like general rule of thumb, a serving of pasta at like a restaurant is going to be like 8 ounces.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my garbage container. If I'm cooking at home, then anything goes.
I love it. John, you got to follow him on Instagram. He just like makes some really good food, whips it up, shares it. And I think he's sending you the link actually, and he makes some good stuff. This kid.
So, like I said, this is my favorite pasta dish, and therefore it's my favorite dish of all time. Literally 9 times out of 10, if I'm on death row, this is my last meal.
Wow.
This and a Miller High Life.
I was gonna say. Well, listen, you scoff at tradition. What's the play on wine? Is this like is this heavy enough for a Barolo? Do you do more of like a Barbera? What's the
I
play
wouldn't
with
say
this?
heavy enough for a Barolo, no.
Okay. Well, the Barbera may not be good because Barbera is pretty acidic. And if you have, so what would be the play wine wise?
I think you can do a white or red with this.
Yeah, I was gonna say this could maybe lean white.
This isn't too acidic because it's so fatty.
Okay.
So you could do like a nice I haven't studied wine in a while.
Maybe like a Chianti, maybe, or that's a little too heavy.
Possibly. There's a wine I absolutely love called Becco Rosso. Okay. It's kind of like the Italian equivalent of a Pinot Noir.
I was gonna say Pinot Noir would be good. That's kind of light. And then if you wanted to do French, like a Chateauneuf du Pas,
Yeah,
Might be
actually,
nice, like a lighter red.
yeah. Honestly though, when it comes to if you're eating at your house, just choose a wine you like.
Yeah, you just grab
That's what I
whatever
do.
when you're home. Yeah.
And if I'm at a nice restaurant and they want to pair the perfect wine for me, and that's their job to do it, then absolutely. I like all. No, I shouldn't say I like all wine, but even a wine I don't like, if it's paired well, I'll like it. If I'm
Yeah.
at home, 9 times out of 10, I'm just gonna buy the bottle of wine that I know I like to drink, and I'm gonna go with it.
You know what would be good if you're sitting a nice little Lambrusco.
Yeah, Lambrusco. I'm sure I'm going to say right now that I think Lambrusco would go great with this, and I'm sure someone's going to watch this and say that kid's an idiot. But,
No, it's like when I was in Sicily, like they had Lambrusco with everything, and for the first time I had it, I'm like, this is fucking carbonated. Like, what the hell's going on?
Lambrusco is awesome. A lot of people have never had it before.
Well, we'll try it out. Well, listen, Peter. Peter, this has been good. If we can, we're gonna probably upload this because we have so much content out that we upload it pretty quick. So first, how can we find you? How can people find you?
My Instagram is Pete, Pete, and then a period, and then Candia, Candia.
Perfect. I'll put a link for that.
That's where I do most of my
most of your stuff.
Work, yeah. And then as always, and you know this, Tom, is I'm gonna take an Instagram picture.
Wow, see? And then also when you can, just do a little write-up if you don't mind of the
Absolutely.
I'm gonna screw it up. And I'll put in the contents and maybe we'll write a little wraparound article. And then you got to send some over to John and me.
I have
Yeah, I'm hungry now.
I have extra, and I'm going to be the only one eating it in my house. So
I love it. Well,
great.
Peter, listen. John, if you want to say a few words before I wrap this one up,
I think it's great what he's doing. I'm going to definitely follow him, and I'm going to have my daughter's friend, who's also a cook, follow him.
Awesome.
I think it's great what you're doing.
That's awesome. Now, Peter, it's all about, like I said, not to get too but it's all about having a positive message, all about doing the right thing. It's look like you got educated on what you love doing. You're following your path. You didn't, this, a lot of guys, your boat might have worked in the back of the house or worked at a place. Oh my God, I went to CIA, so I should be cooking. No, you follow journalism. You know how to cook. You make the good stuff for yourself. And you're following your path. And you know what? I know John and I respect you tremendously. And not to mention, it's not easy to do this on the fly. I mean, you just literally, like this guy, there was no edit. I don't think we're going to edit it. You did it on the fly, and much respect to you, my friend.
Thank you. I'm a good home cook. Professionally, I'm not a good cook. I got my feet wet. I learned it. But when I moved to front of house serving and bartending, I think that's where I really that's why I really stood out. And
you're personable,
and it helped. So I worked at Osteria Crescendo, restaurant, and it helped that I knew food really well, and specifically Italian food really well, and it made it really fun to be a server there.
That's cool.
Because because I've cooked in the past. But I'm a good home cook. I'm not a good professional cook. And
I think you're downplaying, but we think you're great. Hey, John, what's your go-to at a restaurant, Italian restaurant, John? I don't think I ever asked you.
Oh God, there's so many.
Yeah.
So many. I've been to so many great restaurants.
Like, do you like more like carbonara, more white? Do you like more red or sabuca? Like, what's your?
I like more red.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Yeah, I do. It just when I'm in restaurants, I try to order things that are harder to make home, which nowadays is easy. I don't know if it's easy, but it was easy for my mom, hard for me. But I try to eat things that are hard from home because I know like what it really costs, or like I know how easy some of it is. So I'll try to do some dishes that are a little harder to eat.
During this, this thing we're all going through.
Yeah.
There's been so many people that never probably have cooked before that are cooking now. Yep. I'm sure a lot of husbands are happy.
I've always cooked a lot, but I also worked a lot. And this past year, when I stopped working in restaurants, I cook so much more
God bless.
than I used to. I'm supposed to move out. I've lived with my parents. I'm supposed to move out after the summer, and my
Stay at home.
I know. But
I
my
stayed at
parents are
home.
dreading it.
I stayed at home till 28, right? And I was
I mean,
fortunate.
I'm gonna move back. I know I will.
I was fortunate well, you know what my mother said to me? She goes, "You're welcome to stay here as long as you want, but once you leave, you're out." And I was 28 and I was in a good financial spot. It almost made sense because I didn't have any write-offs and was just getting crushed on taxes. So it made sense. But I still probably ate there every night for dinner for like the 3 years after.
That's
every
what
night,
my
every night.
brother.
I would go home. I would eat there, and then I go, I might as well just stay at home.
My brother's 27. He's here for lunch every day because he's a teacher in my town. He comes over for lunch like every day. Today he texts me and he goes, "Can I come over for lunch?" And he teaches his afternoon classes from home because of everything going on.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, I have to do things today." And he said, "What am I going to eat for lunch then?" And I said, what would you do if I wasn't here?"
I love it.
But
I love it.
whatever. Yeah.
Well, listen, Peter, thank you for being on. We're going to get this up shortly. And John, special guest, you got back into the new theory fray a little bit today. So appreciate you coming back, John.
Pleasure. And it was a pleasure to meet you, Peter.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you too.
All right. Thank you, Peter, so much. And we'll put this up shortly.